The FDA is the US government's agency that's responsible for ensuring the safety of the foods we eat, the safety and effectiveness of our medicines, our medical devices, our vaccines, our blood supply. So that is an absolutely critical role. Even before this pandemic and our very divisive times around the pandemic and some of the science, trust in vaccines was incredibly important to keep our immunization rates up, for childhood vaccines in the sort of 95+% area. So that is absolutely critical. And we do have, and there has always been, some small proportion of the population that's skeptical or worried about vaccines. On that background, anything that erodes trust, whether it's in a COVID vaccine or more generally, is really, really important. And so the stakes here are very, very high. One concern has been that this White House has placed a lot of pressure on the FDA around some of its decisions in the COVID outbreak already. And that has given people the impression, and we're seeing polling, that many of them believe that the FDA does respond to political pressure and may respond to that in its evaluation of a vaccine. So this is a very concerning situation, and steps to protect the independence of the FDA are really, really important. What's been at least somewhat reassuring is the director of the center at FDA, who's a career employee that will evaluate these vaccines, has out and out said that if he's pressured to do something he doesn't believe is right, he will resign. And the commissioner at FDA, although at times it's not been clear where he stands on some things, and there have been some criticisms of his comments made around convalescent plasma, he's also stated that FDA's vaccine decisions will be based solely on the science. So that's on the positive side. The negative things are the intense pressure that went on around the two previous emergency authorizations that FDA made, which were on hydroxychloroquine, the malaria drug touted by both the president and some of his closest advisors. There was tremendous pressure on FDA then, and many people did not agree with the science on that. And then more recently on convalescent plasma, where there was pressure, I believe FDA did make its own decision on that authorization. However, it was in an environment of pressure, and again, where the president and others were promoting it, and then after it was authorized, really overstated and overinterpreted any potential benefits. So all of this has created concern on the public's part and on people in public health and medicine who really recognize how important the FDA is. Yeah, well, one thing also that's positive that FDA has said is that they will bring either a possible vaccine approval or even an emergency use authorization to their public advisory committee. So they have an advisory committee which consists of non-government experts, some liaisons from other government agencies, and a consumer and an industry representative. These meetings are held publicly, and they've said they will bring the data there and they will have discussion there when the time comes. So that's one way of ensuring that kind of input. But it's going to be very important to see that that happens, that the data really are transparent. I think a danger sign will be if there are voices from within the agency that are raised, that raise questions about what's going on. So I think we're just going to need to stay tuned. We also need the independent scientists and others on the outside to continue to look at the data as it emerges and also help interpret that for the public. Because I worry as much that FDA could be pressured into doing something that it doesn't agree with. I worry almost more that it might not be, but if trust of the public is undermined, we could have a safe and effective vaccine, getting back to your first question, that people may not trust enough to take.